Hello everyone and welcome back to Witchinary. If you have yet to subscribe to this channel, please do so because we are getting crafty. Today I wanted to share with you my creations using the April 2018 Simon Says stamp set. I love this stamp set. It's just super springy and the images kind of remind me of stained glass. So I'm hoping that we can, get some beautiful cards going. For today, I'm going to take some scrap paper that I have lying around. I have a ton of white scrap paper lying around. And I'm going to cut some panels down to 5 and 4 inches. Then afterwards, I'm just going to slice across those again so I can have a little window on these scrap pieces of paper. I like to make a very simple card from every one of my kits, something that I can make multiple times because I do have a lot of people that I send cards to and I've been slacking lately. So I always need a card that I can make multiple times. And the way that I kind of laid everything out was I used my blocks on my grid from my map to kind of map everything out. I brought in a couple of things from outside of this kit besides this the squeezed lemonade and mermaid lagoon that was offered in the kit. I just really wanted that rainbow effect. However, everything that I did bring from outside of this kit, you can definitely find on Simon Says Stamp, such as their Watermelon Hybrid Ink, their Key Lime Ink, and their Orange Slush Ink. So it's definitely available on their site. I didn't use anything from outside of Simon Says Stamp. So on my first panels, I'm just going to make a rainbow across the panel using the larger full butterfly stamp. And as you can see, it comes out really beautiful. I saw this across an envelope on their inspiration board that comes with the kit, and I just absolutely fell in love with it and knew I wanted to incorporate it into one of the cards. So after I was done with that, I wanted to find like a paper I was willing to part with to just make that little window that you see on these basic and simple cards that have the 2 raised panels. And I figured that this beautiful striped colored one was the one to do that with. So that's what I did. I just cut out some strips so that way I would still have some paper to play around with. And I decided that that was going to be, that was going to be the paper. I also made sure that it was aligned so the colors that I was using were shown on the striped paper that I was using. So here I am adhering the panels down to the cards. For the card on the left, the one that I adhere first, this is what I like to call the practice card, the one where you're just getting your creative juices flowing. I messed this card up and I fix it later by just adding a little blue panel to the back of it. Even though you don't really get to see it here, but this is how it was at first. If you like a much more simple card and you don't want to have the excess colors, I do recommend doing this because this card is still really beautiful as is, but I just wanted to have a little bit of an extra flair. Of course, I raised my panels with some foam circles and also some foam tape, and that was how I made these cards. You can make them whichever way you want. I actually did a double tape thing as if I was going to do a shaker card with the second panel and only did a 1-layer foam thing for the top of it. And it doesn't really show up on camera. It's a little bit weird in person, but that's just one of those mistakes that, I caught later on, and we're not going to talk about it because this is what the charm of the cards is. So here I am finally deciding that, we're going to do the green construction paper because I just wanted a little bit of a pop of color, and I really am feeling green this season. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just craving spring so badly because New York City has just been so gray lately, and it's a little scary, guys. I just want a day where it's like 65 degrees and sunny. And I can see some of my plants grow. I'm ready for that. So hopefully we get there and this weather can get it together. Because I'm a little upset right now. So as you can see, this is the card that I would make multiple times, and I leave it blank just because I want to make sure that at the end when I am sending these cards out, I can choose whatever sentiment I want. They are kind of basic in that way, but yet still special. The last thing I'm going to do is bring out my Crystal Nuvo drops in the color Oyster Gray, and I'm just going to add a bunch of embellishments to tie all of this together. I think that doing so still gives each card a uniqueness and a little bit of pizzazz. Also, if you have other Nuvo drops like yellow or any one of the colors that are featured here, you can use those too. This stamp set is so colorful in the way that they made it that honestly you can use whatever Nuvo drops you have lying around and do this sort of thing with, and you can personalize it very well. So for this next card, I was very inspired by Vicky Papanu. I am so sorry, I can't say her last name. I'm really, really sorry for butchering that, but everyone knows who I'm talking about. The creator of 10 Cards, 1 Kit. She is wonderful, and I saw one of her cards being made, and I tried to stay away from, other people making cards, but I couldn't resist. It was Vicky, come on. So I watched her videos, and she made a card that kind of looked like this, but it was on a white background with a lot of colorful butterflies, and I was inspired by that. So I wanted to make something similar by making some, butterflies that maybe went from, biggest to smallest, but of course plans don't work the way that you intended them to. So my plan of action did not work out that way at all. So I do stamp my cards and I get them to the saturation that I want them, and then I pull out my clean color real brush markers and I start coloring them and making them super colorful. You can of course color these whichever way you want, and this is just how I chose to because I thought that these colors were very, very vibrant and I really like them and how this turned out. Once I'm done coloring those images nice and colorfully, which is not a word, but just, making them colorful, I'm just going to fuzzy cut those images really quickly. And once I'm done, I'm just going to take another one of those beautiful pattern papers for my background. Initially, I wanted to make these butterflies kind of like ascend from biggest to smallest, but that just kind of changed. Everything changes when I craft. I am not a well-planned person when I'm being creative. Nothing ever goes the way I plan it to, although I always try to have like a vision for how I want things. It just doesn't. I don't know why. I went ahead and I made some card bases from the yellow cardstock, and I don't know what it was about this kit, but I kept being really afraid of color. So I don't know why I did this, but I just ended up attaching that beautiful striped, colorful piece of paper to a white background, which I definitely did not need to do, and I recommend that you probably like skip this step because honestly you can't really tell the difference. So I kind of just did the most for a very, very little payoff. Like as you can see, I'm even trimming it so it hardly shows that I have a white border. So I just did all that work for nothing essentially. So once I'm done doing all of that, I'm just going to adhere it onto my card base, only because I knew I wasn't going to be doing any heat embossing directly to the card, so I just knew that I could adhere it. Once I'm done adhering that to the card, I just kind of wanted to see how that would look, and then I realized that I didn't have enough space, because again, things just don't go the way that anything is planned. It just doesn't. So for my sentiments for this card, I'm just going to take all of these small little sentiments that were in the stamp set. So stay strong. Today is a new day and you can do it. For my card on the inside, I can put the "You're simply the best." I wanted this card to be encouraging. There's just something about the color yellow that just, you know, makes you so happy, and it makes you feel creative, and it makes you smile. So for such a card, I wanted to make sure that whoever got this in the mail might need some encouragement, or maybe just needs a smile to let them know that they can do whatever it is that they are willing to accomplish. And that's what I did. I basically embossed these onto some black construction paper, and I heat embossed them with some gold embossing powder and melted all that on there just to give everything an extra like pop. I love the way that gold just shows up on black paper. And again, if the background is yellow, why not just add extra sunshine? Make everyone think of, you know, the sun. And here is more or less kind of how I decided to end this card. Again, things didn't go according to plan. I popped everything up with some foam circles, and the last thing I'm going to do to this card is, of course, bring out those Nuvo drops in Oyster Gray, because, I don't know, I was really afraid of the color in this set, and I'm a little sad that I did that because there were just so many possibilities to get a lot of rainbow gradients in here and really just make a lot of smiles happen. So very disappointed with myself that that happened. But you know, that's okay. That's part of the creative process. For this next card, I had a vision in my head that I wanted to make it kind of like a black and white sort of graphic thing. I really love those types of cards, but I wanted to give it a splash of color. So immediately I grabbed that leaf stamp and the smaller leaf stamp, and I went ahead and started using my mini Misti to get a really good impression of that stamp set. Unfortunately, things apparently don't go the way you planned them. They just don't. And despite how much vision I had in my head for this, as I was making it, I was just like, hey, you should make this more colorful. You've been so afraid of color this whole time. Why not just go all in? Do it. So I decided that maybe that will be the game plan. So as I'm doing these impressions, I decide that I am probably going to take the beautiful, like, super rainbowy gradient piece of paper that comes with the stamp set, and I'm going to make some butterflies, kind of like how Vicky did in her video. Again, was not trying to copy her. She's just brilliant and so creative, and I'm pretty sure I was secretly channeling her, but it's okay. Don't worry. Vicky, you're great. Well, anyway, after I'm done with all of these, I bring out that beautiful paper and I just make little strips from it because I just don't know if I can part with all of this beautiful rainbow paper. I'm not sure when I will use it again because I'm not the biggest, most colorful person on the planet, but I just can't part with it. I can't. I don't know what it is. I'm sure a lot of people feel like that. They just like to hoard paper. But anyway, I'm going to take these beautiful butterfly stamps and I'm just going to saturate them in my mini Misti until I get the impression that I want with the consistency that I want. And after I am done with that, I am going to bring my other panel back and I'm just going to bring out my clean color real brush markers. You can do this with Copic markers. You can do this with watercolors, and you can do this with whatever coloring method you have around. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to color all of those little leaves with that, and then I'm going to go ahead and fuzzy cut the butterflies. So here is where this idea kind of got sidetracked, where I was just kind of like, no, we're going to go all in with this color. We're not going to be afraid, and we're going to put it on a blue base. It's going to be great. And I chickened out the last moment, but I brought out that strippy, colorful piece of paper that I was working on or working with before, and I just cut away the blue and purple sections of it to just give me the more vibrant colors. And I'm just going to use my tape runner to adhere that to this beautiful green base. And again, like I've mentioned, I am horrible with my sense of taping. I tape things crooked on all the time, so this is taped crooked. Sorry that you guys can see that, but it is what it is. I like the way that this kind of came out. I thought that the green was great because it brought out the green of the leaves. And looking back on it, I probably could have adhered this card to either an orange card or a blue card to make it extra colorful. But again, I chickened out, so I don't know what the heck I was thinking. It was just kind of one of those, like, yeah, let's be colorful, and then like, no, let's not do that. That's a bad idea, and I don't like bad ideas. I was having an internal conflict. Here's where I kind of remember that maybe a card should have a sentiment, at least one that's like this out there. So again, black piece of construction paper. I saw that the Thinking of You stamp was probably the contender for this little section because it won just kind of like, oh, I'm sorry, Keep Smiling, the Keep Smiling stamp, because it just had the right amount of space. So I just, you know, again, took my heat tool, embossed that with some Gold Ranger powder, and now I'm going to just take my tape runner and adhere those beautiful butterflies to the base of this. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I raised those two panels with the colorful stripes on with some foam squares to just give this card more dimension, and I just adhered all of that to a white card base because, again, I don't know why, but I was afraid of color. I should have done it with the blue. Doesn't that look amazingly beautiful? Oh, I'm a little disappointed in myself, guys. But anyway, I adhered it to a white base, and it turned out to still be pretty. And because, of course, we just are super like, okay, let's embellish this a little bit more, because just a little bit of embellishment is just never enough. After I'm done adhering this card to my card base, using my tape runner, I'm just going to go ahead and bring out my Nuvo drops, you guessed it, and I just wanted to add some Nuvo drops to the circles a la Vicky. So here are the 4 cards that I made using the Simon Says Stamp monthly kit. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.